Hi. Hey. Hello.
And now, our feature presentation.
ItzSonny, and this is going to be a very different video. The intention behind this channel is to provide the spotlight on every special and significant film throughout cinematic history, with me dedicating an essay to really appreciate them. But there are so many films out there that it'd be impossible to give the spotlight to every film out there, no matter how deserving of the spotlight it retains. But as my duty, I have found a solution to still discuss those films, and it's by recommending them. You see, if this video is successful, this will serve as the premiere to a series on the channel that I entitle Movie Logs, in which every film I've watched per month gets a good amount of time for me to discuss it and recommend it towards the right audiences. The way this goes is that I go through each film and give them a good portion of dedication to setting up its premise, dive into what makes it great, and then rate and recommend it if you think it's your cup of tea. With all, I hope you enjoy this and find your new favorite film. A mother and daughter facing eviction in post-crisis Spain are scamming their way to a more comfortable lifestyle. Planeta is a very visually gorgeous film. It has a very ambient palette applied to everything from the provoking score, art house visuals, and overall atmosphere conveyed through the limited production budget and clever editing. If you're like me and love a movie that can visually connect with you or is just a beauty to look at, don't skip on with this film. But in terms of the story and characters, this is where in my opinion the film falls a little flat. It's not to say the story and characters are bad, they're not. It's that it falls a little too incomplete for me. I appreciate the hidden messages layered across the film, especially in the end, but outside of that, it's really a long chain of human interactions, serving as story beats that, though excellently performed and still enticing, it lacks a clear sense of purpose or progression. I just feel the film wasn't doing everything it thinks it was doing on a writing level, but that doesn't ruin the movie at all for me, since it's still serviceable and the overall filmmaking behind this picture more than makes up for it. If you're someone who's very curious and always looking for the more non-mainstream, obscure, and very visually and audio-based heavy kinds of films that you just want to engross yourself in, then this film is for you. If I had to rate it, it'd be an 8 out of 10. Two lifelong best friends go through a struggle as one's mental state declines over the years, forcing the other to have to witness it all. 14 is amazing. The only flaws I sustain out of the movie is that there are some atmospheric shots that at first are really gorgeous to look at, but they kind of go on for far too long, almost feeling like they're just there to fill up the runtime, and that the tone isn't entirely there as it never has a very set-in mood. But outside of that, everything else is fantastic. The long shots really bring out the best line delivery out of all the actors. It's always respectful directionally in terms of how it tackles its mental focus, and what really carries the movie are that of the two leads who have an incredible sense of chemistry and bounce off each other perfectly. I really appreciate this film for not being scared to go there and shine the spotlight on some heavy topics, always coming from a place of passion and understanding. The ending really had me thrown off. I won't spoiler it, but man, it's very fitting yet emotional. If I were to recommend it, it's best for those who don't mind a slow burn and much more grounded and realistic movie, as well as for those who can handle heavy topics, as it's not a movie for everyone, so not for those who just want a fun time or very simple movie. 9 out of 10, easy. Two teenage girls endure an adventure in New York City to deal with an unintended pregnancy. Never, rarely, sometimes always successfully inhabits its personal experience. Its one error is that the cinematography is supreme in supporting the direction of exhaling the stress, paranoia, and emotions of a pregnant teenager, but could have been more creative with its shots out of the same repetitive zoom-in expression. The minimal sound and music design, very hitting natural dialogue, and consistently appropriate tone really operate accordingly. The solid performances and basic base character writing establish perspective in its dramatically human adventure of the teen pregnancy process in a very open-minded and important way. The pacing is the highlight for taking its time to walk across the steps of every beat of its story to really keep me engaged and always leave it thought-provoking from the film's moments. I'd recommend it to indie film lovers and those curious to learn more about unique human experiences, in this instance, teen pregnancy, and truly explore their minds. Personally, a 9.5 out of 10. It is very, very well handled. An alcoholic single mother seeks redemption and an opportunity from the life she's put herself and her close ones within. To Leslie is, to me, a masterful work, for though it tackles the typical redemption story, the way it presents it this time around really makes it special. Leslie is a perfectly flawed and toxic protagonist who endures such a moving arc, with a wonderful supporting cast and performance by Andrea Riseborough. The way the film paces itself with the harsh reality of the film's situation within the first half into the more redemptive and dramatic side of the second half really works, for though the film is long, it never once loses engagement with me. The tone is also very perfect for the film, as it chooses not to shy away from the wrongness and humanity of such a toxic individual and the repercussions both to themselves and the people around them, but also has a heart and showcases the light and goodness in someone, no matter their choices, being a film with a true passion and care for its characters and story, which, in that instance, is a film that clearly deserves a 10 out of 10 for me. I recommend it to those in need of a solid drama with superb direction, real characters, and a very dark but heartfelt and touching script. Two strangers get to know each other by a random chance encounter and deal with their recent breakups. Rye Lane is a film with loads of creative spunk and energy, all of it being displayed through the zany cinematography, vibrant music, and overall weird but playful atmosphere within the streets of South London. It is a very hitting indie debut that has a very strong leading duo that are both filled with charisma and the right kind of energy both independently and in banter. The editing takes a very fast flow in terms of cutting from scene to scene via transition, but never once feels off-putting and instead endures even further engagement with the film at hand. The one thing that prevents this very cool film from being a full hit, however, is that the story, no matter how hard it tries to be original, does feel very standard in terms of the story, but that one hole isn't enough to ruin the whole picture. Being a film I highly encourage romance fans, very energetic and weirdly beautiful aesthetic people, and overall casual film goers check out. An out of 10 for a very strong directorial debut by Rain Allen Miller. A historical worker in Berlin is caught up by a myth, having to make drastic choices for herself and her lover. Undine is a very solid watch, albeit with some flaws. The story is very well written and is engaging from start to finish with a ton of fascinating context. The performances are very solid. The only utilized piano track is very effective when it pops up, but when it's not, greatly adds tension to a ton of moments across the film. The visuals aren't exactly game-changing, but are well framed and competently shot, with some great underwater shots. The streets of Berlin become familiarized when the film is constantly shifting back from set to set to help really get me involved in the lives of the characters. Now the flaws at hand are really that though the dialogue is very solid, its one area is in terms of historical context being provided in the film, which though some of it is necessary, for the most part, majority of it could have easily been cut, which applies to those scenes and others, making the film a much more tighter and shorter running watch. It tries to blend the nature of romance and fantasy into one and works great independently, but when put together, it doesn't mesh well, and that also applies to the direction. for it feels as though it never gets a real grasp on its multiple ideas. Though it's a 7.5 out of 10, it's still a film I recommend to those who want to watch a very fascinating film to analyze, very enduring romance, semi-fantasy fans, and overall foreign casual moviegoers. A young ski prodigy falls under the influence of her instructor, becoming fully dedicated to the sport. Slalom takes a very bold and risky choice in enduring the very horrific subject matter of underage assault onto film, and this is where Slalom gets respect from me for being the one film to tackle it and do it appropriately and with justice. Right off the bat, I thought I was getting myself into a typical sports flick with decent drama, but once the scene of the violation occurs, the rest of the film shifts into this dark, truly disturbing, and almost horrifying watch that truly works. The direction handles this topic by portraying the situation through the eyes of the victim and seeing her response to everything, really making me understand her naiveness but also want her to escape, which is aided by the truly dedicated performances of the entire cast. The film isn't afraid to showcase the true colors of everything in terms of visuals, editing, and pacing, really getting me to feel trapped watching the whole thing. The unique areas that the ski sequences are very well directed and highly impressive. The only drawback is that the story itself, though appropriate and well written, falls heavily in the ending, for it doesn't feel satisfying and kind of just ends. However, a 9 out of 10 comes from me for being the only film that I've watched to handle this disturbing real-life occurrence and doing it right. I truly do not recommend this film to victims or very sensitive people of this violation, and for those that can watch it, be prepared for a very disturbing viewing. A criminal family performing scams has their whole world turned upside down when a stranger enters their lives. Right out of the way, its only flaw is that the story is very seen before, but everything else really makes this a marvelous viewing. The entire cast of both the characters and their performers are downright outstanding. The out-of-water tending approach to this story is very creative. The utilization of Mr. Lonely in music is very effective. The natural visuals, perfectly human and favorable dialogue, consistently rich tone and style, and everything else about this truly passionate and well-rounded film is very impressive and amazing. It has so much heart, energy, and soul in every single frame it contains, being a film that I highly recommend pretty much anyone with a heart and casual movie buffs check out. 9 out of 10 is the score I would provide for this very wonderful and enjoyable motion picture. Two best friends spend a night together by a lake in the mountains. A love song is a masterpiece. What else do I have to say? Just end the video right here, okay? But seriously, this film is very emotionally easy. It's such a peaceful, serene, blissful, and well-made film that knows what it is and straight up runs for it. It's such an inner retrospective on life and progression, presented through the perfectly right performances across the board and humanly touching script. The vintage and colorful visuals really engross me further into the movie itself, which is helped by the in-background licensed radio music setting in the right kind of atmosphere for this very grounded, personal, and closed-in movie. I don't know what else to say. It's a 10 out of 10. It wants to be something and is that something. A film very much for those who want to emotionally resonate with their movies, take in personal perspective, and just want a very peaceful picture. A boy dedicated to his livelihood of a housing project south of Paris tries to take it all in before its destruction. Wow. Just wow. Holy fucking shit. Gagarine is a goddamn movie. This film has a fictional story but is dedicated to the real-life Siete Gagarine complex with a very interesting historical significance and is so personal and moving. Yuri and the community around Gagarine are truly relatable characters in terms of their different responses, dedication, and personal connections to what was and is their home. And the direction goes a step further to get pretty much anyone who watches this to become invested, almost as if we're a part of this community. There's so much passion between the very proper music and grounded yet imaginary visuals. You can tell every actor has such a passion in their line delivery and overall performance, with the tone having such a somber yet adventurous and personal feel to its story, and the complex of the Gagarine itself is such a beauty both internally and externally, making this a film with so much heart and importance to both those a part of the real building and for anyone that can connect with its story. I recommend this to really anyone, and it's an easy home run, 10 out of fucking 10. Well, it's been sunny. That's pretty much all I've got for you this month. Let me know down in the comments what film you're going to check out from this video, and hey, feel free to @me at my Twitter and follow me there and talk about the film with me. I'd really love to hear your opinion. My personal favorite out of the bunch is Gagarine, since it's just my kind of film and it really spoke to me. Hope you find your new favorite film and let me know if you want to see more of this series, as I really want to do this since it's easier to produce and is a great way to provide the spotlight to a ton of underground films that deserve some love and fucking attention. I hope you all generally have a great day, and thanks for checking this video out. I really appreciate all of you guys, seriously. I'm glad you guys enjoy this shit. And yeah, it's been sunny. So long, farewell, and goodbye.